are the makings of a classic game? Is it the story, the music, the controls, graphics, or even the characters themselves? For me, it all comes down to how memorable my first encounters with the game were. Sure, those attributes are part of that, but it's still that memory alone that makes a game classic to me. Now, that being said, it is hard for me not to reference one of my most memorable or favorite games when playing a new one, or one I haven't played before at all. But I don't look at that as a bad thing. Like, a game can be called a copy, a game can be called a clone of a classic, but it doesn't make it a bad game. In fact, that might just make it become a memorable game just because it ties into maybe one of your others. Like, take for example here, I got Adventure Island 2 by Hudson Soft. I mean, this is the second installment in a trio of games that has shown me there is more to the depths of my NES library than I've seen so far. So you play as the game's protagonist, Master Higgins. That's a strange name for a caveman. From what I can tell, I will be traveling between islands, playing through different levels in the process. But there are no clear paths to where each level will be, and the level itself is not defined. The controls are simple enough. Holding the B button down lets you run faster. You can't duck though, which is kind of annoying. A throwing item can be obtained from breaking the first egg you come across. And let me tell you, it makes things a lot easier to kill the enemy rather than have to dodge it. This egg gives you a skateboard. Remember your helmet for safety, kids. But rock beats skateboard. A starry-eyed dragon pops out of this egg and allows you to ride him. Don't get too attached to him though, because he's so weak that a bird takes him out. Each level is timed, but you can add time by collecting the random fruit. It seems like you have to do this though in order to have enough time to make it through the level. I can already tell you what the most annoying thing is about this game. That is, there is no health bar. Everything kills you in one hit. I mean, at least it might take two if you have a creature you're riding, but otherwise you die, 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 and die. And you don't get that many lives to begin with. The bonus game at the end of the stage only gives you points. Sure, after so many points, you do get an extra life, but they aren't easy to come by. What am I riding now? A Lapras? Finally, a 1-up in the bonus game. That's more like it. The pterodactyl is cool because it can fly over everything, but his attack is weak and looks like he's spitting a wad of chewing tobacco. Okay, so I beat the first boss, who's easy, and I travel to the next island. Before I discuss what reminds me of my most memorable games within the Adventure Island 2 game, I would like to at least play some of the other Adventure Island library. I'm not going to review these games, just kind of use them as reference. I want to see if there's anything similar or different from Adventure Island 2. And maybe see if anything else stands out that might remind me of something else. So we're going to start with Adventure Island 1. Adventure Island 1 is a little simpler than the second one. I mean, understandably so, considering it did come first. The largest difference is that the levels are broken up into stages, and there is not an overworld map to move through. It still has those frustrating one-hit deaths, though. But at least you get a pot bonus at the end. There's nothing wrong with that. From here, we're going to move on to Adventure Island 3. Adventure Island 3 has some noticeable graphic improvements with nice shadowing effects. The formula is still the same as the second, but at least you can duck now, and there are some good weapon upgrades. But at least this game has aliens. And lastly, I'm going to play Adventure Island 2 for the Game Boy. Yeah, I know it's not an NES game, but sharing the same title, I should at least give it a try. Adventure Island 2 on the Game Boy is actually the same game as the third on the NES. Why would they have given it a different name? Shouldn't it just have been Adventure Island 3 on the Game Boy? But somehow they were able to make the improvement of defined levels and paths on the islands. Shouldn't the NES have been just as capable of doing this as the Game Boy? Well, if you haven't guessed it by now, the games that Adventure Island reminds me the most of are Mario games. Specifically, Super Mario World. Adventure Island 2 reminds me of Super Mario World. Now let the comparisons begin! Adventure Island 1 is very similar to the first Mario game. You move through the levels from left to right, basically just dodging enemies. And the music that plays when you die is almost identical. But I'm not really here to discuss the first game. It's Adventure Island 2 that I want to compare most to Super Mario World. Number 1 is the map layout. Both games have levels which appear on islands. When you reach the boss of the island and win, you then move on to the next. Number 2. What came first, the dinosaur or the egg? Riding on a dinosaur, which popped out of an egg, is straight up a Yoshi move. Number 3. Each game has underwater levels which you move through almost exactly the same way as the land levels. Number 4. Both games have an alike finish line and bonus game. Sure, you have to reach 100 bonus stars in Mario to get to the bonus game, but the design still looks the same. And lastly, number 5. Even though this comparison is for Super Mario Bros. 3 and not Super Mario World, you have the option of choosing a power-up to keep you from being too weak at the beginning of a level. What does all this really mean? Maybe Hudson Soft saw what Nintendo had going on for them and wanted in on it. But it honestly doesn't matter to me, because if I'd been playing Adventure Island games first, this video would be about how Mario games are similar to them. So in closing, it feels pretty good to find a game that's been worth playing, and that I'll probably play again in the future. That's what this is all about, though. I don't want to find the bad games. I want to find games that I never knew existed that I can play just as much as a Mario game or a Ninja Turtle game. Something that was memorable I would like to make new memories with. But until next time, see you nerds.